This DPW garage was built in 1973 when the population of Merrimack was probably 1/3 of what it is right now. Just to give you some perspective about 1973, I graduated high school in 1973, and this building has been in operation ever since. Not too many changes have been made, and the ones that have been made have sort of been piecemeal. It's important that the efficiencies and the safety of this building are maintained so that the people that work within those buildings don't have any issues in the future.
The Highway Operations Building is basically a large warehouse building with partition walls which have been created throughout the years to cordon off admin areas such as personnel, locker room, lunchroom, break rooms, reception area, and supervisory offices.
I work in the highway department and have done so for the town of Merrimack for 37 years. I came to Merrimack back in 1976 when this garage was first built. The garage started to be, we started outgrowing the garage as soon as we moved in. We have a huge building, and the first thing that we did was we built a small admin area that in very short time had to be added on and developed further. We had no locker rooms. We had very minimal admin space. The original admin office was 9 foot by 20 foot for the entire admin function of the garage. And most of the work, we never had a capital reinvestment. We've done things that highway people, who people tend to think about working out on the road, we became our own carpenters, and we added on and we added on and we added on. The electrical facility has also been added on every couple of years when we made an addition or so-called improvement. The electrical system was what I call jury-rigged, expanded, expanded, expanded. And as a result of that, nothing was built for the future at that point. We just kept taking care of what can we get by with today, what can we get by with today.
Personnel spaces themselves are quite substandard. A lot of the offices and rooms have been created by highway staff throughout the years. We've got a locker room that's much too small for the number of people that we employ here. It's very crowded. It's carved out of what used to be part of a utility room with a workshop area. It's basically a glorified utility cabinet with some lockers inside. We don't have enough bathroom facilities for the people that work here, 1 toilet and 2 urinals for almost 30 people. We have a rather small lunchroom and a training/break room for the people. If we have all hands here in a snowstorm or other emergency event, it becomes quite cramped and hard to get everybody in there to get their meals and get back out on the road, not to mention holding effective training for a staff that size.
The storms that once we get here at the beginning of a storm, and we tend to be here 24, 30, and I've seen over 36 hours. The employees, as they come back and need these breaks, they have no place to go. We have straight back chairs. We have couches that were donated by one employee or another. It truly is not a restful environment, knowing that we're going to be asking the employees to stick around. As a former plow operator, you would have to be there to truly understand it, that a good rest can pay big dividends towards the end of the storm.
We like to think that the town of Merrimack taxpayers have 4 major investment areas that they make on an annual basis, and those are personnel, facilities, vehicles, and their roads. And we like to think that this project incorporates all 4 of those major investment areas.
As we now take care of this town 37 years later, the floor space in the workshop area that at the current time takes up bay space and parking space, and at the ready makes everything at a premium.
Some of the other space issues that we have with the current garage are being able to pre-stage winter operations equipment before a storm. So ideally, we'd be able to load a plow truck up with sand and salt and bring it inside the building where it's climate controlled and that material will not freeze in the back of the truck, If a call goes out at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., the foreman calls an operator, they can come in, punch in, do their pre-trip inspection inside the building where they don't have to clear off the snow and ice off the equipment already to check it out, do the pre-trip inspection, hop in, start it up, and pretty much roll out and get onto the roads. Right now, none of that can happen. The operator has to come in, clear off half an inch or an inch of snow, warm the vehicle up, do somewhat of a pre-trip inspection, then get loaded up, and then get on the road. So we could have quite a bit of operational efficiencies gained by being able to pre-stage equipment in the garage. Due to the current space constraints, we can only fit about 4 large pieces of winter equipment in the garage out of 20 or so. There's an industry rule of thumb for mechanics in their shop space in which you should account for at least 1.5 bays per mechanic that you have on staff. And the reason why it's not just a single bay per mechanic is that if you have an oversized piece of equipment that might spill over into a second bay, or if you have equipment that's come in, been towed from a road call, towed into the garage, and you don't have that part on hand, it's going to be a week and a half until you can get that part in. The mechanic needs to be employed doing something else in the meantime, so you have a little bit of leeway with your bay space if you use that 1.5 bays per mechanic thumb rule. So right now we have a lot of spillover issues where if the bays on the equipment maintenance side of the garage fill up with equipment, police, fire, public works, any other of the divisions in town, maintenance spills over and now has to take place on the highway side, and there are no lubrication handling systems, air, electrical connections, lifts. It's quite a bit more difficult to get work done on the highway bays of the garage than in the equipment maintenance side. So a new project would make much more sense, more bays for the mechanics to do their work and keep all that equipment maintenance within one area rather than spilling over into a second.
They really are too crowded. When you have to walk around a fire truck and have to step over things to get to the other end of that truck, it's a hazard waiting to happen. There's no elbow room. It's not safe whatsoever.
One of the benefits of the current building is that it's steel frame construction, which has held up reasonably well throughout the years. The exterior cladding, insulation, and roofing, and certainly all the utilities inside the building should be overhauled, but to be able to reuse that existing skeleton of steel allows us to save a lot of money to get the same amount of final floor space, but also to give the highway division its own area for storage and staging, as well as workshops and cold tool or equipment storage. But also this increased workshop space will allow you to avoid tripping over everything as you try to find the tool or piece of equipment that you're looking for.
By utilizing the existing building with a full rehab, as well as adding an additional building, we solve a problem that is a 40-year-old building, and we come into compliance with existing regulations.
Safety of our employees is one of the big things we'd like to address with this new facility. Our systems in this building, some of them are 35 to 40 years old. Electrical systems such as air, fire sprinkler, gas, some of these need serious upgrades, but they also need to better suit what we do now. I'm sure in 1973 it was hard to envision what we would do in 2013, but it's quite a bit different than what we did back then. So with the new facility, being able to get the personnel spaces removed from the exhausts that we're currently subjected to, dust, grinding, welding, air compressors which fire off throughout the day, welding arcs, any host of safety issues that we have just by the fact that we have personnel spaces inside the industrial working facility. Just to be able to get those spaces out of the building itself would be a great leap forward for us.
When a snowstorm or a windstorm comes and you see branches and snow all over the roads, the DPW staff here takes the time to go out and make sure that the roads are safe and your homes are safe from fallen trees. It's time that safety be given back to the DPW staff by giving them a safe and efficient environment to work within.